तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashāpaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Janam. We are meeting after a long time. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we are within that conversation and events of 24th August 1882. In my English book, page 116, and in my Bengali book, page 64. But for some important points, we are going back a little. English page 115. We are going back a little, and let us think that we have completed this, that Sri Ramakrishna has explained how in the love body, through the which is born after a long sadhana, and in that by the love eyes God is seen, by the love ears God is heard, and by the love organs of generation, both male and female, there is intercourse, communion with God. And then M again became serious. Up to this, let us think we have understood. But now, there are some very important points in relation to this, which we cannot skip, which we cannot just go ahead by reading. So, from this point, we start again. Master, but this is not possible without intense love of God. So first is condition. First is condition, that it is not on the surface. So this whole thing, the question was, when one sees God, does one see with these eyes? No, he does not see by these eyes. In the course of sadhana, one gets a love body. Now, after explaining everything of that love body, Thakur himself is going back a little and telling, but this is not possible without intense love of God. So this love body will not get without intense love of God. That is the new point rather, or the condition of that love body. That is one point. Now, one sees nothing but God everywhere when one loves Him with great intensity. This is a completely new idea. We cannot just read it. That in this course of sadhana, when there is communion, then we also become aware of the real nature of God. This is a very new point here. That when the intensity of love is there, then we see God everywhere. Not that only we are communion with God, not that we have love eyes and we see Him. If we really see Him, if we really feel His real nature, then the consciousness has to expand. And we realize, I think one day I took the example of Namdev and all that. So, God is seen does not mean some person is seen. That is what I explained that day. So here it has become very clear. We can refer back to Namdeva's experience. That Vithoba told him, you go to that village, there a Shiv temple is there and there Visoba will make you complete. And when he went to that temple, Visoba made him aware of the all-pervading nature of God in a Shiv temple. So when God is all-pervading, there remains no difference between Shiva and Vishnu also. So this is a completely new point, that to arrive at this position of seeing God through love eyes, hearing God through love ears, and having sexual communion with God through the love organs, male and female, it becomes so only if there is intense love of God. And if there is intense love of God, God is seen to be all-pervading, not only as a person. So this is a very important point. In the course of one sees nothing but God everywhere when one loves Him with great intensity. So the result of loving God with great intensity is awareness of the all-pervasive nature of God. Not only as a person living in a particular body or only having communion with us, but He is all-pervading. There is a hint of His infinitude. At the same point, God can be in communion with hundreds sadhakas, thousand sadhakas, in number of sadhakas. If He is all-pervading, that is the one important point. So, side points will be many, that there is no place for jealousy, possessiveness. My only intense love does not mean any narrowing of consciousness. Intense love for God, not intense love for a human being or a person. Intense love for God will not allow the mind to remain individualized. It will attain an expansion. God will be felt as infinite. God will be felt as all-pervading. And so there will be no place for jealousy or possessiveness or exclusively God is mine. That cannot stand in that love. One point. Then another important point, it is like a person with jaundice. You may add one word here. When the jaundice becomes acute, then only who sees everything yellow. So here also everything, when the jaundice becomes acute, when the love becomes intense, then one sees yellow everywhere, then one sees God everywhere. So it is the continuity example for that very all-pervading nature of God. Then the next sentence is a jump, mind you. is a jump. You see, small, not corrections, but corrections are there. In Bengali, separate paras have been arranged for that because it is the next step, because it is an advancement, because it is a completely different aspect. So it should not be mixed. Up to this, jaundice is example for intensity of love and feeling of God's all-pervasiveness. Now it is the next point. Then one feels, I am verily He. So this is the culmination of Madhura Bhav. This is the culmination of every bhav as verified or certified by Sri Ramakrishna. In the Bhagavatam, it is there. In the Leela Prasanga, it has been greatly discussed and explained that this is a touch of Advaita realization, an abhasa, an entry, a glimpse of God not only being all pervading, but the difference between I and you is lost. The Jnanis may call it Aham Brahmasmi. So, the intensity of love, one side, makes God as all pervading. Second side, the difference between I and God vanishes for the moment, or a glimpse of my identity with God comes. Please, many devotees, Achintya Bheda Bheda and all that, or Sri Ramakrishna himself has called devotees. So one should understand ordinary devotees. They say, I will taste sugar, I will not become sugar. If we observe that example, I would say the sugar will swallow you, even if you do not like it. The sugar will force you to become sugar. If your love is sufficiently intense. So keeping I separate will not allow the love to be fully intense. That is another lesson here. Because Thakur is telling automatically these things happening by further and further intensity of love. So if God is loved with real intensity, you can have any relation with God in the love sphere, not in the physical sense, not at all in the physical sense. And in that experience, the one thing you gain is God is all pervading, and then find all the implications of that all pervading God. And then the next step is you will feel identity with God. So it is called the glimpse, entry, abhasa of the Advaita Tattva. You are one with God. You are never different with God. That you are realizing through intense love. On the other hand, the jnanis always think that the bhaktas are lower. So for them also, it is a great lesson that through love, purely through love, a devotee comes to the same place which the jnani has achieved through his jnana. So love itself, jnana means change of consciousness. And through love, the consciousness has been totally changed and one is feeling identity with God. This is a very important point. And this Thakur is explaining now. So this should be a separate para. Then one feels, I am verily He. Now what example Thakur gives is beyond ordinary thought. He is not giving the example of extreme love now at this point. A drunkard, you can add one word, if or when deeply intoxicated. That means not ordinarily drunkard. He has gone on drinking. His consciousness is not changed. Drunkard is not a sadhak. And Thakur is giving explanation, example of a drunkard, mind you. A drunkard, when deeply intoxicated, says, "Verily, I am Kali." So, it is not an example of love, but unless it tells us something very deep, it would not have been said by Thakur, not have been included in Master Masha's memory of what Thakur has said. So this is the line which you have to go very, very deep to understand. We have seen that love makes for the semblance or feeling of identity. Now, this sentence, separate para. This sentence is, what is it telling us? Can you understand? Why drunkard has come in this?
One becomes like a drunkard.
Huh?
One becomes like drunkard in love.
No, not at all. Drunkard is a man with hopeless character. The result in his life will be terrible. He will become a drunkard, addicted, he will lose all his vitality. And this example Thakur is giving. So, a very different dimension we'll have to tackle. A drunkard is not that jaundice is all right because it tells of deeper love. We are talking of Advaita. Now connect and tell me.
Loss of I-ness. Loss of...
It is telling us that it is the real nature. This Advaita or identity is my real nature. And what has happened with drunkard? He has lost his normal I consciousness. A drunkard is always compared with Premonmath, Jnanonmath, because one common point, that a drunkard temporarily, because of his heavy drinking, has at that point lost his I consciousness, normal I consciousness. And it is mentioned when he is deeply drunk. That means I consciousness has been completely annihilated for the moment. So this intensity of love does not make for identity. It reveals the identity already existing. Here again, all the bhaktas have to remember that you may not like to become sugar, but if your love is real and intense, it will lead you to become sugar, because that is your real nature. Because Advaita has been mentioned, so the real nature of God or reality has to be taken into consideration. So many important points we cannot just skip over. We cannot just read gospel and go ahead. Because Thakur has suddenly out of nowhere talked of a drunkard. And drunkard can never be the example of acute love. So the only common point is drunkard loses his I consciousness and the inner reality comes up. It also should be remembered that it does not give as a solution to drink. Not at all. Many times, deep sleep is quoted to give the example of our real nature. It never means that we should sleep and sleep. Never. It is the opposite pole actually, going higher and higher in consciousness. But deep sleep is given as an example of what we really are, because the waking and dream experience, the split of subject and object is not there at that point, so it is taken as an example. But if we sleep and sleep and sleep, it will be tamogul, and it will never be physically possible also, because the subject-object consciousness is very much there. So as soon as the body is relaxed, mind is relaxed, we will be compelled to have to this outside experience and forget all our so-called Advaita. So the drunkard is given as an example to show that Advaita identity with God is the reality. It is not a question of you and me. It is the reality. And from God we have come. That means we are God mission. From God we have come, not by mixing something. So God has appeared in our forms. So that is the truth, very nature of truth. Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you grow up to that or not, you cannot escape the truth. And this Thakur is telling in the context of real intense love. So the real intense love makes our consciousness broad, universal, and also we are aware that everything in the world is nothing but forms of God. So real all-pervasiveness includes God is Advaita. So that is the example. Now another para please here, because drunkard is given as an outside example. Some people who are drunkards or who have seen drunkards can feel or understand. But that is not the solution. And so next para, first is, then one feels I am really he. Example, drunkard. Now the real example, the gopi is intoxicated with love, so it is love again. The drunkard is not love. Gopi is intoxicated with love, exclaim, verily I am Krishna. And this description is in the 10th skanda of Bhagavad, maybe chapter 30 or 31. Gopi is due to Krishna vanishing, felt intense misery, and that intense misery made them realize Advaita. And they actually started telling each other, I am Krishna, worship me, embrace me. The other gopi would say, I am Krishna, you embrace me. So this happened as a description being given by Paramahansa Shukadev to the King Parikshit. So, understand this point? Kali is brought because in Bengal, especially these drunkards, they are not devotees. Kali is Tamoguni, they like. And Kali is the form of reality. So, verily I am Krishna. Huh? Now again, the process. Process means we have seen intense love. And we have added real intense love. Now, how this comes? How this comes? First he has told, this is not possible without intense love of God. Now he says, one who thinks of God day and night beholds him everywhere. Get the connection? Beholds him everywhere. Going one step back. That all-pervading nature of God is seen. And then automatically the transcendent nature of God or identity is seen. And this, how it comes? When one who thinks of God day and night. So this is a long-fetched sadhana. It does not happen in a day. Gopis loved Krishna right from their birth almost. And then at this point has come. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras we have read, Dirgha Kala Nairantarya Dridabhumi. So, when for a long time and steadfastly, not with any French leaves or like that, when one practices sadhana of love, then this stage comes. So, a simple, single line in this conversation is very important. One who thinks of God day and night beholds him everywhere. So the all-pervasiveness comes. It is like a man seeing flames on all sides. Now, common example is given here. It is like a man seeing flames on all sides after he has gazed fixedly at one flame for some time. Fixedly gazed at one flame for some time. That is equivalent of day and night thinking of God. And then God is seen everywhere. So, even when the flame is not there, or he closes his eyes, he sees flame everywhere. Now, this example is an example. It has inherent weakness that we know that is not seeing that real flame. Understood? So, Master being a rational person, Master Mahasaya, but that isn't the real flame flashed through M's mind. We see a flame, but it is illusory something. Flame is not there. We are seeing something which is not there. So is it like that? When one thinks of God day and night, one sees God everywhere, which is not there? Is it like that? It flashed in M's mind. But Sri Ramakrishna, who could read a man's inmost thoughts, said, now this is as much correct English translation as possible. The original Bengali says, he is not reading his thoughts, not at all. Thakur Antaryami. So Thakur is talking, Thakur himself is God, Thakur himself is residing in everybody's mind. Antaryami means Thakur is the resident of everybody's mind. And so what has flashed in M's mind? Thakur knows. How it can be translated in English? Something like this. Thakur, who is Sri Ramakrishna, who is present, dwells in everybody's inner mind. So he came to know immediately, Master Mahasaya, this thought has come. Said, one doesn't lose consciousness by thinking of him who is all spirit, all consciousness. So, for example, this Jada example was given, but we are thinking, so the man's mind has gone off at that time and he's seeing like hypnotism or whatever. But we are thinking of God. So this point everywhere throughout gospel, that the real nature of God is never forgotten, never missed. We have to be aware of that. And so, especially this conversation, which is taking us very deep in vision of God. So it is telling one who doesn't lose consciousness by thinking of him who is all spirit, all consciousness. Spirit means something without the body, so it is called spirit. And without the body or external anything, it is consciousness. And God is consciousness. And we are thinking of consciousness. And consciousness is the source of our so-called intelligence. Our intelligence, our perception, all that depends upon consciousness. So, consciousness is the source of intelligence. Now, thinking of consciousness, one does not lose intelligence or brain. That is a very important point. And in Thakur's life, some incident have happened about that. We have been aware of that. Thakur brings it here. Shivnath once remarked that too much thinking about God confounds the brain. What happened? Shivnath was a leader of a faction of Brahma Samaj. When Brahma Samaj, led by Keshav Chandra Sen, became all influenced by Thakur, then due to some extraneous reasons, Shivnath and Vijay Goswami had separated in another Brahma Samaj. And there Vijay Krishna Goswami again became mad after Thakur. So the only leader worthy name there was Shivnath. And Shivnath found that due to touch with Thakur, all they are changing. And he wanted to save the existing Brahma Samaj somehow. So he started telling his followers that Thakur has become mad because he thinks of God too much. And Swami Vivekananda was one of the followers of Shivnath. But he became a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. So this news came to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna waited because Shivnath himself would visit Sri Ramakrishna, but not allow his disciples to go. So when Shivnath came, Thakur directly challenged him. Do you say that I have become mad? My brain has become deranged due to a think of God. What is your logic? By thinking of God, I become mad. And by thinking of material, jada things, inert things, you will be intelligent. So in Thakur's every sentence, as Swami Vivekananda has said, basket full of books on philosophy can be written. Because this takes us to Gita's 7th chapter. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, my prakriti, my own forms are 8. And then he says these 8 are lower forms. There is one higher form of mind, which is consciousness. So lower forms means thinking of them when we lose his way to God, because they are material. Gross matter or subtle matter. But thinking of consciousness, residing within a man, residing within the whole nature. By thinking of consciousness, one can go to God. So it is higher Prakriti. So that is what Thakur is telling. I told Shivnath, how can one become unconscious by thinking of consciousness? And this M could easily understand. So M says, yes, sir, I realize that. And what flashed in him? That Jyoti. It isn't the thing, it isn't like thinking of an unreal object. That Jyoti is thinking of an unreal object. How can a man lose his intelligence if he always fixes his mind on him whose very nature is eternal intelligence? Thakur is highly pleased with this understanding of the master, because M also is Western educated man and he may be influenced by Shivnath, but after Thakur is explained, M could easily understand the hollowness of Shivnath's argument. Master, with pleasure, he has become happy. It is through God's grace that you understand that. Up to this point, we had read that day, but we went back to understand these subtler points. Now, there was a doubt, and it has disappeared. So that is due to God's grace. God's grace, ordinary householder, I got a job, God's grace. I got money, God's grace. I came out of this difficulty, God's grace. God's grace is that we grow in knowledge or love. That is God's grace. If we realize God, that is the highest grace of God. It is through God's grace that you understand that the doubts of the mind will not disappear without His grace. So, that is the only way of doubts vanishing. Doubts do not disappear without self-realization. That means, to begin with, man has doubts, infinite doubts. If he reads good scriptures, like the Gospel and Great Master, half of his doubts will go away. As he continues his sadhana, more and more doubts will go away. And when he realizes God, then Chiddante Sarva Samshaya, then only it happens. So, this tells us one should be ready with doubts, one should not get disturbed by doubts. You may have doubts, but the rishis have seen, you proceed, you will also see. But one need not fear anything if one has received the grace of God. So, it appears very difficult, doubts will not go. But if you have grace of God, everything will go. It is rather easy for a child to stumble. This example, if he holds his father's hand, but there can be no such fear if the father holds the child's hand. So, self-effort is necessary, but should result in surrender. The self-effort itself should result in surrender. A man does not have to suffer anymore if God in His grace removes his doubts and reveals Himself to him. Because when God is revealed, then only the doubts will vanish. That also will come. But it does not automatically come. But this, that is there. But this grace descends upon him only after he has prayed to God with intense yearning of heart and practiced spiritual discipline. All-rounded teaching is not leaving any one-sided thing. Grace of God, path is easy. But this grace will not come unless two things. You have prayed to God. What does it mean? You have understood your self-effort is not sufficient. Then only you pray to God. And this understanding will come when you have done self-effort. So, but this grace descends upon him only after he has prayed to God with intense yearning of heart and practiced spiritual discipline. And means these are that. Together it gives this sense, but let me check up with Bengali. In Bengali, there is no and, there is a dash. That means this is equivalent to that. Prayer, তিনি কৃপা করে না তবে তাকে পাওয়ার জন্য খুব ব্যাকুল হয়ে ডাকতে ডাকতে ড্যাশ সাধনা করতে করতে তবে কৃপা পায় so this is equivalent of that. Praying to God means feeling insufficiency of self-effort, but sadhana korte korte means practicing self-effort. Then the grace comes. Now he gives an example. The mother feels compassion for her child when she sees him running about breathlessly. Running about breathlessly means searching for the mother, calling on her. She has been hiding herself. Now she appears before the child. I will tell a funny incident on this point. I was in Mumbai in those days. There was a big festival in the ashrama. And one grandmother with her grandchild had come. And in that crowd, their hands got separated. And she is searching for him. And he is searching for her. Finally, they met. Then she said, "Where were you lost?" He said, "I was not lost. You were lost." So, this is mother and child's play. So, she has been hiding herself. There she was also searching. That he has been hiding herself. Now she appears before the child. When he has become, yearning is the point here. Breathlessly with yearning, then she comes. So, we are read on that second day. Yearning, total surrender. So that has come here. But why should God make us run about? Thought him. Here also he has not said this. But in the mind, why? Why does it not reveal? Why does he make us? Immediately Sri Ramakrishna said, because he is Antaryami. It is his will that we should run about a little. So God is self-willed. No challenging his will. No asking God why of anything. Self-effort, surrender. It is his will that we should run about a little. Then it is great fun. One personal example comes in my mind. I was in a naturopathic hospital and I was walking. But somehow, somebody, as if, even now it happens, is pushing me forward. I am walking, but I have lost control. Somebody is pushing me forward. And I am trying to check. Enough, 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 like that I am telling myself. And I fell down flat. Quite injury on this mark, that mark, injuries came. I mentally asked Mother, Sarada Devi, Mother, what is this? And she said, it is a little fun. It is just a little fun, she tells. Big fall, injury. This falling has become common in my life. Yesterday I felt very bad. Anyway, I'll tell you later. So, understood? Then it is great fun. God has created the world in play, as it were. As it were is there. Huh? Because this play philosophy also shows that God wants to play. So, as if God is real, everything is a shadow. That is reality. But it appears that God wants to play. This is called Mahamaya, the great illusion. Now another topic is starting from here. Thakur is shifting. This God's play is called Mahamaya. He has turned God into a woman now. He has turned God into Kali now, Shakti now. And he is bringing us to the sphere of Shakti. And how smoothly he has brought it in Master Masha's mind. Smoothly. Talking of God and surrender and play, he shifts it to Mahamaya, the great illusion. Great illusion, Maya. তিনি লীলায় এই সংসার রচনা করেছেন in Bengali. Leela does not mean play. Leela means Maya. Know what to do. So one must learn Bengali and read it. তার ইচ্ছা যে খানিক দৌড়াদৌড়ি হয় তবে আমোদ হয় তিনি লীলায় এই সংসার রচনা করেছেন এরই নাম মায়া Great illusion is translation. Thakur has not said that. Therefore, one must take refuge in the Divine Mother. So Thakur's intention is that feel this ignorance, power of appearing in names and forms in a female form, Shakti form, mother form. And that's what Thakur is doing. Throughout his life, his harmony was based upon his Advaita. But as the nearest approach for God, Thakur had become the devotee of Kali, the mother. To tell us that mother make God very near. Not compulsory. You can have God in any form, but he adopted this mainly to show the motherhood of God. So now he shifts his talk to mother. Therefore, one must take refuge in the Divine Mother, the cosmic power itself. It is she who has bound us with the shackles of illusion. So, God's power to appear in names and forms, and we are shackled by that illusion because we take the names and forms to be real. The realization of God is possible only when those shackles are severe. The master continued. Fresh topic. Fresh topic means, yes, he continues. Means next topic. That worship of mother is brought here. So he has smoothly brought it to this. One must propitiate the Divine Mother, the primal energy, in order to obtain God's grace. God himself is Mahamaya. So, identity between God and his Shakti, but one must propitiate the Shakti to get God. Practical life. God himself is Mahamaya, who deluded the world with her illusion and conjures up the magic of creation, preservation and destruction. So this itself is like a magic. And by delusion, she becomes like this. Wonderful. She has spread this veil of ignorance before our eyes. We can go into the inner chamber only when she lets us pass through the door. God is within. We are outside. And we have to go from outside to the inner chamber. And in between is this Maya. Only when she lets us pass through the door. Mahapurush Maharaj used to pray every moment to show us what to pray. And his prayer was in Bengali. Ma, amar anubhutir doroja khule de. Mother, please open the door for my experiences. So experience will happen only when you go inside. And there is a door, block it. And mother only can open that. So this was his constant prayer to teach us how to pray. Ma, amar anubhutir doroja khule de. Please open the door to my experiences, spiritual. Living outside, we see only outer objects, but not that eternal being. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. That is the reality. Absolute, Nirapeksha, Satchit Ananda, Akhanda, Ananta Satta. Therefore, it is stated in the Purana that deities like Brahma praised Mahamaya for the destruction of the demons Madhu and Kaitava. The demons represent the obstructions, and they were killed by Mahamaya. And for that, the Brahma, the Supreme God himself, prayed. That is in the Puranas. Purana, what we say, allegorically makes everything perceptible by us. So Thakur has mentioned Purana. Shakti alone is the root of the universe. That primal energy has two aspects, Vidya and Avidya. Avidya deludes. Avidya conjures up woman and gold, which cast the spell. Vidya begets devotion, kindness, wisdom, and love, which lead one to God. That is Vidya. Devotion, kindness, wisdom, and love. This avidya must be propitiated, and that is the purpose of the rite of Shakti worship. The rite of Shakti worship was a common practice in Bengal during marriage ceremony. In this worship, footnote, a woman is regarded as the representative of the Divine Mother. This much only is the footnote. Okay. So those who know those details, they will understand. The devotee assumes various attitudes towards Shakti in order to propitiate her. This is all Tantra Sadhana. The attitude of a handmaid, Dasi, a hero or a child. A hero is the Tantric Veer Bhav. By enjoying Shakti, you make her pleased. This path is risky, dangerous, but that is what the Tantra preach. You propitiate Shakti by satisfying as if her craze for enjoyment. Shakti in the form of your wife. Or a child. So take God as your mother. And you pray to mother, she is happy. She does not require anything. But your attitude becomes proper. You are surrender child. So she will help you. A hero's attitude is to please her even as a man pleases a woman through intercourse. Straight away, he has used the word intercourse. रमन द्वारा ताके प्रसन्न करा. The worship of Shakti is extremely difficult, dangerous, difficult. It is not joke. Let me just lightly you do that. That is not there. I passed 2 years as the handmaid and companion of the Divine Mother. 2 years. Thakur himself is telling, But my natural attitude has always been that of a child towards his mother. That is teaching all of us. I regard the breasts of any woman as those of my own mother. Wonderful. All women are forms of goddess. And so their breasts are like my mother's. This is the attitude which Thakur is almost prescribing us. Women are all of them the veritable images of Shakti. Now that marriage thing is being stated here. In northwest India, he means UP or Punjab. Or the bride holds a knife in her hand at the time of marriage. In Bengal, a nut crack cutter.
Bride? Bride or bride groom?
Bride.
In Bengal, it is a borer hate.
Achha. বিহার সময় ওরের হাতে ছুরি থাকে, বাংলাদেশে জাতি থাকে। Is it misprint in Bengali? Because in English it states the bride. The meaning is that the bridegroom, with the help of the bride, who is the embodiment of the divine power, will sever the bondage of illusion. So it should be in her hand. Na? This is the heroic attitude. I never worship the Divine Mother that way. My attitude towards her is that of a child towards its mother. The bride is the very embodiment of Shakti. Haven't you noticed at the marriage ceremony how the groom sits behind like an idiot? But the bride, she is so bold. These are Indian traditions. We could start a little late today because of technical fault. I can stop here, but last para remains. After attaining God, one forgets his external splendor. Okay, we will take it up tomorrow. Because it is a continuation. Sadhana, God all-pervading, God transcendent, and then what happens? So that is being told. It is not an eternal sadhana. One gets net results. So that para we shall read tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibirīditam Kalmashāpaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. देखो because it is not your error. So,